How do you cut costs in a business without sacrificing the success of the business? That is what we are talking about today. I am Emily, and I am here to teach you all things business, leadership, spirituality, and anything else I wanted to share. Welcome to my channel. I am so happy that you are here. We are going to be doing a deep dive into cost savings in businesses. And I'm just going to give you a high level of some steps that you can take today to start looking at your business to be like, where can I cut costs? How can I save more? And at the same time, still have a strong foundation and continue to grow and it not impact. Because clearly there's some businesses that have to have certain expenses to keep running, right? If you have a brick and mortar business, you're going to need to pay the electric bill. Bottom line, you can't get away from it. However, you can make it run more efficiently so your electric bill is not that high. So as we dive into this, I would just share, like, when I was in automotive, it really got me to be really good at seeing opportunities for cost savings. And the reason for this was I got a target every single year of how much cost savings I had to come up with. So that was process improvements. That was any kind of headcount reductions, or if we had a new model come in, we had to figure out how we were going to staff this with just the people we had. We weren't going to hire nobody, right? So being very creative in this, I got really, really good at it because it's what I had to do as part of my job. And also being able to see the gaps. Like, if we speed this up, this will give us so much time, which will give us so much manpower, which will give us so much money. So to be able to do those calculations in my head was one of the things that I got really good at. And also now, as we help businesses at Transformative Leadership do the same thing, it's really like getting very clear on the numbers, getting very clear on what the staff is doing, how is the culture, and then starting to close that gap. That's what we do. We help with operations, leadership, and a lot of other things. If you guys need that support, feel free to reach out. Anyways, we're getting to diving into this cost savings. So number one is identifying the areas and eliminating them that have the highest costs. So unnecessary expenses. What are you spending that you really don't need at this time? Automating processes. This is a huge one. A lot of people will not automate the processes. There's still people out there pulling stuff in spreadsheets when it could be automated. So think about this example. You have an employee that's pulling something off of a spreadsheet for 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's 25 hours. And you're paying them, say, just $10, right? That's $250 every single week that you could be saving, or you could be saving that or utilizing them in some other part of your business if you automate that. So look at your business and see what needs to be automated. How can you automate it? And if you don't know those things, like, drop them in the comments. We have a lot of resources that we share. Happy to share those resources. Really look at the processes that you have in your business from start to finish. From the time you are starting your product or your client is coming in till the end of the process, and see how much more efficiently you can make that. And the other thing I would say with the unnecessary expenses is looking at what your reoccurring expenses are and why do you have them? Do you really need them? It's shocking at how many companies have these subscriptions that they don't use or need. So look at that, and these are things that you should be looking at every single month as the business owner, or someone in your business should be looking at this from a standpoint of, like, how can we cut cost and have that cost savings, continuous improvement mentality in the company. It's important for all of your employees to know that, for everyone to know that, because that's just going to help you grow and scale. So the next one I would say is negotiating vendors and suppliers. So if you have vendors and suppliers, start negotiating. All they can say is no, right? Look around for different prices. Ask questions. As someone that has invested a lot in their business, we do the same thing. We're not just going to go with the first person. We're going to do our homework. We're going to look around, ask vendors and suppliers, negotiate those things. So highly encourage you, if you guys have vendors and suppliers, also look at what their deals are or whatever their promos are or whatever, and figure out how you can budget that in there. Next one I would say for cost savings is changing your culture. Completely changing the culture of way you've been running your business and creating a culture of cost savings and continuous improvement. And this is something that doesn't just like happen overnight. It's something that does take some time, does take some work. Something I highly recommend that you come up with a plan of how you want to roll this out to your employees, what kind of training you want to give them, and then what's the incentive for them to actually get a cost savings. Don't just give them nothing for coming up with cost savings, because that's not necessarily going to motivate them to come up with cost savings. So for example, if they come to you and they have a cost savings, give them a percentage of it, or give them some kind of reward, like give them some time off, like whatever is near and dear to them, do that, because that's going to motivate them to continue to look for opportunities, to continue to think outside of the box. Because a lot of times the employees are just, they're there for the business and they may enjoy it and like it, but they're never going to take it as seriously as you as the business owner is going to. Bottom line, that's just how it is. But you can get some really good employees motivated, and they will be committed if they also feel seen, heard, and respected in the process. And so part of this is really building that kind of culture. And when you're cutting costs, being mindful of the language that you use, especially around your team. Like, hey, we're trying to do some cost savings. Being clear on why you want the cost savings. Maybe this extra funding that you're looking for is going to scale the business to the next level, or you're going to run some ads, or you're going to bring another employee in, whatever that is. So baseline, start with your baseline. And if you don't know your business numbers, just stop this video and go find out your numbers before you do anything. So baseline, identify and evaluate and eliminate all the unnecessary stuff that you actually have in your business. And then asking yourself, how can you run more efficiently, and doing a process audit. I think I've done some videos on process audits. If not, I have some content on LinkedIn. Do a process audit on all of your processes. Start writing SOPs so you know what each one of your team is doing, because if you don't know what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, that is also a cost savings for you. And they could be doing things that are not necessary to be actually doing, and they could be instead doing something that's more valuable to the business. I've seen this a lot in a lot of different companies, and also in a corporate setting, where when you sit down and ask them what they do on a day-to-day basis, they show you and you're like, why do you do that? Oh, well, I run this report for this and this. Why do you need that report? That report takes you 20 or 30 minutes every single day. Why is that report so important? And can we do it without it? You'd be amazed at how much useless stuff somebody has just added to someone else or to that role, and it never gets evaluated. And maybe it doesn't need to be done, or maybe it can be automated. So there's a lot of things that you can look at it from a business perspective, but you also have to have the mentality to look outside of the box. And sometimes when we're in the process and in the business, it can be more challenging to look outside of the box versus actually, because we're in it, right? So it's easier for someone that comes in brand new and looks at it and be like, oh, here's your gaps. You know, that's one of the things that I love and enjoy about working, doing what we do, is coming in to be like, here's your gaps, and here's how you can close them, and here's the action plan to close them. So the other piece of this, to take another step further, is when you identify and eliminate those cost savings, come up with an action plan to actually do it. Don't just identify them and then not have an action plan, because then you're just back to square one. So having an action plan with who's accountable, when it's going to be done, like really hold that accountability. And then once you have everything cleaned up, set some KPIs to make sure that your business is going to continue to run this way. So what's the KPIs? Like, how do I set them up to make it more successful? And the KPIs are basically key performance indicators that you need in your business. If you do not know what that means, please go do some research or drop it in the comments, and I'll shoot you a video over what KPIs is and how to create them from a business. And making sure that you check in on a minimum, I would recommend on a weekly basis on KPIs, on certain KPIs, some of them even daily, because if you have like high traffic, you may want to have a KPI over the high traffic area to make sure it stays contained. But yeah, so just to kind of wrap things up, for cost savings, identify and eliminate the unnecessary waste that you have, automate, optimize your processes, optimize your resources, negotiate your vendors and your suppliers. You can do this. It's not hard to negotiate prices. And then start creating a culture of cost savings and of a continuous improvement. I share a lot more content about this over on LinkedIn on some newsletters that I'm releasing every single week. So if you guys want to subscribe to that, go subscribe. I share a lot of content on LinkedIn on cost savings and just operations. If there's any other videos you guys are looking for when it comes to business, if it's more specific, feel free to drop them in the comments. I will shoot some content, and until next time, go and do your research and get you a lot of cost savings. I wish you millions of dollars in cost savings.